Hi, everyone. I'll get us started while people are starting to filter in. My name is Camille. I work for UCD Alumni Relations, and welcome to our second episode of UCD What It Takes. This is our summer employability series. It's for anybody in the UCD community who's looking to maybe get a new job or upskill within their industry, find out a little bit more about what's out there, especially during this strange time when there's so many kind of uncertain employment futures. So our episode today is with Michelle Coen. You might recognize her from our last webinar. She ran our Q&A. Michelle is a careers and skills consultant with UCD Careers Network. And she's going to talk a little bit about just what's out there in the industry right now, and specifically, how can you get ready for the recruitment process? So it's how do you make yourself stand out as a candidate? How can you make sure your CV is up to scratch, and some technical skills around, say, really building up your presence on LinkedIn, getting ready for the interview, all that good stuff. So Michelle's got loads of great credentials. She teaches career readiness modules here at UCD. She also facilitates workshops and employer events. She coaches students one-on-one as well. And in terms of education, she actually studied here at UCD. She got her Bachelor of Social Science here, as well as a postgraduate higher diploma in human resource management. And she's currently also completing a postgrad higher diploma in career education with the University of Warwick, so super busy. And on top of all that is also a qualified life coach. So we've got loads of expertise here. And if you have any questions for Michelle that come up during her presentation, definitely feel free to drop them down in the Q&A section below. We'll get to as many as we can after her presentation. So with all that in mind, I'll hand it over to you, Michelle.
Thanks very much, Camille, and thanks for that introduction. So you're very welcome to the second episode in our What It Takes series. So in this episode, we're going to take a look at what it takes to succeed in and prepare for the recruitment process. So we'll briefly look at the current recruitment market, and then take a look at some of the activities that you can do over the next few weeks that'll help you best prepare for applications and for really, I suppose, that interview, getting that job that you really, really want. So I suppose just to have a look, first of all, at the current recruitment market, over the last few days, I had a quick look at some of the main job portals that you'd all be familiar with. So I had a look at UCD Careers Connect, Grad Ireland, Indeed, LinkedIn, Irish Jobs, and jobs.ie. And I suppose the jobs that are advertised at the moment is a reflection that maybe not all sectors have been affected equally due to the lockdown. So we know obviously aviation and hospitality has been affected. They've been effectively closed, but retail, supply chain, distribution, technology have all remained open. Manufacturing and pharma and IT, again, have remained operational. And lots of companies in financial services, in education, in insurance have been able to migrate their businesses online. So again, have been able to stay operational. So from a quick look at the job sites, I jotted down some companies that are actually hiring at the moment. So even in the tech sector, so 2K Gaming, Airgrid are also advertising a graduate program at the moment. Some graduate positions in BNY Mellon, across their finance, technology, customer service. There's also a range of marketing, sales, and digital marketing roles as well. So probably indicating that a lot of businesses have moved online and are trying to, I suppose, advertise and promote their businesses online as well. So certainly the landscape has changed. It is challenging at the moment, but we are seeing, as companies emerge out of lockdown, as their recruitment freezes are lifting, that they will be recruiting more, and that some of the companies that maybe experience some difficulties now that the lockdown is lifting, they will make up ground faster than other companies. I suppose the key thing to remember here is that as companies hire now and begin to hire, HR managers and recruiters still want to hire the very best talent that they can for their companies. So what we look at today is, I suppose, activities that can help you so that you're in a position to compete for those roles over the course of the next few weeks and months. A few of the areas that I want to look at and activities that I'd like to draw your attention to, you might find that in the absence of an internship, a graduate role, or maybe if you're an experienced professional, a promotional opportunity or a new role that you were going to go to, you may have a little bit of time now to do an online course, to maybe avail of a mentor, or even to do some volunteering. So what I'm not talking about here is becoming fluent in Japanese, taking on, 5 or 6 different mentors and starting to volunteer with 7 or 8 different organizations. It's about thinking strategically about where are the gaps that you have right now, and where are there opportunities where you can fill those gaps and maybe gain some experience. So the first one we might take a look at is online courses. So there's 2 things to look at here. You can have a look at your own CV, your educational background and your work experience, and you probably have an awareness of maybe some gaps or some development areas that you'd like to improve on. Maybe it's a number of years since school, since you studied a language, and it might be an opportunity to brush up on your language skills. You might be aware that your Excel skills are okay, but maybe this is an opportunity to take them to an advanced level. Or is there communication skills, leadership skills, negotiation skills that you'd like to improve on or develop? So you can have a look online to ensure that to check if there's some online courses in that area. Another way of approaching this, though, is to look at the sector that you're interested in, looking at job descriptions in that space and seeing what are the skills that are required, and is there a course that you could do now over the coming weeks that could help you bridge that gap. This would be really, really impressive at interview, especially to an organization or a particular sector where you've done a course that matches their interests and bridges a gap that you have. So I suppose here we're looking at short virtual courses. So I'm not talking about taking on another diploma or degree. It's just a beginner course or a short virtual course that you could do. So a good idea, if you're not sure of where are the additional skills that you might be missing in terms of a sector you're interested in, have a look at LinkedIn or have a look at online job platforms right now. And even if you're a graduate, have a look at some experienced roles. They don't have to be in Ireland. All you want to do is get an idea of the skills that are required in this particular role. If you see in a job description as well that it says this particular skill is desirable or an advantage, that's a really good clue of a particular skill a good skill that you could do a course in to upskill in. So I've just had a quick look. There is many educational providers providing short, free virtual courses right now. So it's an ideal opportunity to do a course somewhere where you might never have had access before, because a lot of these courses are online now. I've no affiliation whatsoever to any of those. I just picked a few courses, a few examples. For example, Open University, lots of short virtual courses available right now, so do check out those. Also, I wanted to bring your attention to SkillNet Ireland. So here there's a number of different skill nets specific to different sectors and different regions. And you might find a particular area that has courses and online training courses that might be of interest to you. So you'll find this if you just do a quick Google search, SkillNet Ireland, and if you go to the tab Our Networks, and then you'll see, I just did a quick screen grab there. If you look at animation SkillNet, if you're interested in technology or the gaming sector, have a look here. Are there short online courses that I could do here, or virtual networking events or training courses? As I said, it's also by region, and there's so many of the different skill nets that you're bound to find one that's of interest to a career or sector that you're interested in. Another one to have a look at is Futurelearn. So here again, lots and lots of different courses across lots and lots of different topics. So based on your own interest, based on your own background, and based maybe on a sector that you're interested in, is there a particular leadership communications course that you, or negotiation skills course that you could do here? Again, might look really, really good on your CV. So something else to think about over the next few weeks, where maybe you don't have, you're working from home now and you don't have your commute to do, or you've just finished your degree or your master's and you have a few extra hours. The UCD Alumni Network Mentoring Program might be something to have a look at. So if you log on to the UCD Alumni Network page and go to the Resources tab, you'll find information here about the mentoring program. So a useful resource, because networking is something we're all widely aware of, but it's not always easy to, I suppose, approach someone coldly that you don't know on LinkedIn. The advantage here is that you have a warm connection. Alumni have offered and volunteered to give back to the university, and one of the ways they do that is through volunteering as a mentor. Also, you have, of course, the university in common. Maybe you've done the same degree or attended the same college. So you have an immediate warm connection. It's really great to have a conversation with somebody who's working in a role or a sector that you're interested in, because you can get lots of interesting information and insights that you wouldn't necessarily get from a jobs platform or a company website. So you might get information here about, what's the hot skills that are required in that sector, what are the challenges, where are the opportunities. So I'd highly recommend checking out that resource. And now is the perfect time to maybe connect with somebody and have a virtual coffee or a Zoom meeting, and have a quick chat about you're interested in a similar career or sector that they're in, and how they can share and help you, give you maybe some direction how to navigate your career path. Also, just to draw your attention to the UCD In Conversations series. Tomorrow evening, again, all the details are available on the UCD Alumni website. It's the chairperson of the HSC talking about leadership in a crisis. So that might be an interesting topic if you're interested in developing a little bit more and finding out a little bit more about your leadership skills. So the other area just to draw your attention to is volunteering. So in the absence of maybe an immediate internship or work experience opportunity right now, it could be useful to volunteer at the moment to find out a little bit more about what it's like to work in a particular sector. But also, if you're an alumni tuning in who has quite a bit of experience, but maybe you're interested in changing careers, volunteering is a great safe way to dip your toe in and find out what it's like to work in a particular area. So I would recommend the volunteering for two things. Great way to gain some skills, okay? But also it says a lot to an employer about who you are, about the causes that you're interested in. Employers tell us that they're always interested to hear what people do outside the library and how they spend their free time. It does say something about you and the causes that you're interested in, and I suppose how involved you are in your local community. So a number of resources, Ria, my colleagues will be sharing some of those resources in the chat button, but there's off the top of my head, UCD in the community, activelink.ie, Volunteer Ireland, and have a look and see, are there opportunities in sectors or in causes that you're interested in that you could volunteer. So It's a way of, as well as obviously be working as a volunteer, but there's always paid positions in those roles. So lots of people working away, you know, in the organisation, planning, administration of those organisations. So an opportunity to work and network with professionals in that field, but also a way of developing lots of different skills. So, for example, at the moment, a lot of the volunteer opportunities would be working virtually or online. Lots of different campaigns that you can get involved with depending on your interest that can help develop communication and team and leadership skills. Um, Online organizations like Childline and Smartens provide training, again, that you can put on your CV, but also training so that you can work on these particular advice phone lines. Particular interest, if you're interested in social work, psychology, it is advantageous if you've these type of experiences on your CV. Lots of organizations now as well will be looking for help with fundraising ideas. There might be an opportunity here to design and help out and get involved with virtual fundraising campaigns. And of course, lots and lots of companies, organizations need help and assistance with their social media. So that could be writing content, writing blogs, and just helping them with promoting all the work that they do across a variety of social media channels. And then have a look in your own local community. Are there local businesses that have recently had to migrate their businesses online very, very quickly? Have you got IT skills that you could offer and maybe help them and assist them with their websites and with their businesses online? A great way to help, but also to practice your skills, and maybe you might get a future recommendation from that as well. So you're here, you're looking for opportunities to develop skills like your communication, your teamwork, your leadership, also an opportunity to network as well. So just in relation to, I suppose, sorry now, I'll just keep an eye on time here. The recruitment process. So there we were looking at some of the activities now that you can do just where you mightn't see as many opportunities to get work experience now. These are some of the activities that you can do to ensure that you're still gaining experiences and skills that will help you compete for those roles that you're interested in applying for in the future. But many of you are also interested in practical tips in relation to the recruitment process. So we will spend some time now looking at those, and please feel free to type any questions that you have into the chat box and we'll get to those in a moment. So I want to draw your attention to the virtual graduate bootcamp that my colleagues Amy, Leona and Eamon are running. So the first one kicks off tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then there's a second one. So if you can't make tomorrow, it's on again on Thursday the 25th. While I'll be giving you some hints and tips, my colleagues will be doing a real deep dive into all these topics on designing your application, preparing for interviews, creating your online presence, so on LinkedIn, but also looking at job search strategies. If you're a current student, you can register via Careers Connect. So that's the online UCD careers portal. And if you're an alumni tuning in and you're really interested in these topics and attending the bootcamp, you're also more than welcome. So all you have to do is email careers@ucd.ie indicating which date you'd like to attend and request the link, and you'll receive that in advance of the bootcamp. It's also a good idea to follow the UCD Careers Network on our social media channel if you're on Instagram or Facebook, because we have lots of interesting events coming up, including next week an alumni series, and then the following week we have employers such as Musgraves and PwC featuring on our Instagram channel, and it's a great way to interact with employers on those type of platforms. So to help you, if you're going to come along, or not come along, but tune in tomorrow or on the 25th to the graduate bootcamp, I'm going to talk through some of the things that you can do now in preparation so that you can get the most out of the bootcamp, but also provide you with some hints and tips, even if you're not available, so that you can start to think about your applications and start to really focus on preparing for virtual interviews. So I suppose the first contact that you have with a prospective employer is through your CV. So your CV, which is your sales brochure about you, is the employer's first impression of you. So they've never met you, they don't know anything about you. So this 1 or 2 page document is their first impression. So that's why it's really, really important, and this obviously goes without saying, that it's really, really well laid out, really easy to read, and with no spelling mistakes. Unfortunately, occasionally we get feedback from employers telling us that they've had to eliminate a good candidate because there was a spelling mistake. So someone applying for a communications role and communications is spelled wrong. Unfortunately, that person does not get called for interview. So we all get really close to documents that we're working on. So it's very, very important that you use spell check, but also that somebody is reading your CV for you, ensuring that there's no mistakes, that it's really well laid out and easy to read. So moving on, just some quick tips if you're updating your CV. No picture required in Ireland or the UK. Obviously, if it's somewhere else in Europe, check the requirements for that particular country. In Germany, there is a requirement. Here and in the UK, there isn't. 2 pages max. So 1 page is absolutely fine if you can condense all your information into 1 page, and 2 pages is perfectly acceptable as well. Anything above that, it looks like you're kind of padding out your experience. Obviously, academic CVs are a little bit different. Important thing is the structure and format. Again, just that it's easy to read. Recruiters tell us they don't want to be reading kind of big block paragraphs of information. It takes a little bit of time. Bullet points and clear headings so that they can see at a glance what you've been doing. And the key takeaway here is tailored to the role that you're applying to. So ensure that whatever position that you're applying for, you read the job description carefully. So be sure to save down the job description from the website. It'll disappear off the jobs portal quite quickly after the closing date, but you might need it again when you're preparing for interview. So here you want to have a clear idea of what the skills they're looking for and how they're mapped onto your CV. So if you see in the job description, we're looking for a team player with excellent communication skills and advanced Excel, be sure that it's really clear the team skills, communication skills, and your Excel skills that are obvious in your CV. Just quickly, I've included an sample CV here, and the slides will be available afterwards, so you can have a look at those. And if you're preparing for the bootcamp, you can start to work on your CV now. Education first if you're a recent graduate, your most recent role first if you're experienced. And the main thing you want to focus on here is including clearly your degree title, institute dates, and then be sure to include some information about your degree. Again, this might highlight some particular skills or knowledge that's relevant to the job that you're applying to. You can see then the CV here is really clearly laid out, bullet points starting with action verbs like supported, designed, liaised. So at a glance, the recruiter can see the specific experience and skills that you have. A skills profile can be really, really effective as well. Helps the person reading it understand the skills that you have, and you can dictate your skills profile compared to the skills that are required in the job description. Good idea to also include interests and achievements. It can be a really interesting talking point at interview. And again, as I said, employers are interested to see how you spend your time outside the library. So it can be a good indication of, other interests and achievements that you have. My colleagues will be going into this in a little bit more detail tomorrow and on the 25th, so you can get some more information there. But I have, in the meantime, included some resources that'll kind of just help you just design your CV to the best of your abilities so you can get that role that you want. Have us think about where are your current gaps. Reflect on your work experience. So what were the daily, weekly, monthly tasks that you carried out? And just make sure that you're articulating those as much as possible. Have a think about what you'd put in and examples you use to indicate your skills, and then ensuring your achievement section, what's relevant but also of interest to you. So some resources there that you'll be able to have a look at in your own free time. Also then we'll move on and have a look at virtual interviews. So at the best of times, interviews can be a nerve-wracking experience, but now we have to contend at the moment with technology. So doing our interviews online. Over the course of the next kind of 3 to 6 months, it's likely that any interviews that you do will be on Google Hangouts or Skype, as most companies will remain doing virtual interviews. So it is a platform that, or a medium that you'll have to get some experience in. But there are some advantages to doing your virtual interview. I suppose the first one is that, you know, previously in a face-to-face interview, you were leaving your own home and going on to a company premises or office, to an environment that you're not familiar with. Whereas doing your virtual interview, you can do your interview from your bedroom or your study or your sitting room. So at least you're in a very familiar environment, and this can help alleviate some nerves. And the second thing, the advantage of doing some virtual online interviews, is that you can have some prompts and notes beside you, and this can be really, really helpful. So even just a few post-its with some key information and key highlights that you want to get across to your employer, some key skills that you want to highlight. So just some hints and tips around the virtual interviews, because I know it's a space that some people do get a little bit anxious about. As I said, lots of different mediums that people are using. Probably the common ones now are Skype and Zoom. Some of these platforms do allow you to set up a profile with a picture and a username. So the same as LinkedIn, just ensure that you're using a professional picture and username, because this is probably one of the first ways that the employer is going to meet you. Also ensure that you're doing a test run in advance. So you don't want the first time that you log on to meet your employer is the first time you're using some of these technologies. Also, you want to make sure in a test run that your computer isn't doing any updates, all those kind of things. Now, some of these, like Zoom and Skype and things like that, allow you to pick a virtual background. So I would say here, rather than your Hawaiian background or the Golden Gate Bridge, something really, really neutral, or else pick a really, you know, plain background in your own house. So plain back walls. It doesn't have to be anything fancy at all. The main thing with one of the key points to remember with your virtual interviews is just ensuring, if you're sharing with, you know, flatmates or family, that people in the house know that you're doing an interview, so that there's no background noise or any interruptions like that. Goes without saying to dress professionally. Again, it's your first time maybe that you're meeting your new employer or your potential employer. But also it'll help you get into the frame of mind of the interview if you are dressing up and dressing professionally for your interview. And I suppose it's only natural that you might be a little bit nervous. And I suppose the key to eliminating nerves with any interviews is practice. So practicing yourself, recording yourself, practicing with a friend asking you questions, all those kinds of things. You don't want the first time that you go online and start answering questions to be the first time that you hear yourself talking about your degree or your work experience to date. So practicing here is the key. To draw your attention to a useful tool that you might find beneficial as you're kind of practicing and upskilling in relation to doing virtual interviews, you can email careers@ucd.ie and simply request a Sonru video interview. and you'll receive a link, and here you can practice doing video interviews. It only takes about 10-15 minutes. Some questions pop up on the screen and you have an opportunity to answer the questions and record your answers. And at the end, you can play back your video and, I suppose, self-assess if there's any gaps, if you're not looking at the camera, any areas that you need to improve on. But you can also then request feedback from a careers consultant in relation to your interview performance and get feedback to improve on that. So again, if you have a little bit of free time and you'd like to improve or develop your online video interviewing skills, be sure to do a Sonru video in advance, and it'll give you plenty of opportunity to practice. As with all interviews, there's 3 key areas that you need to research. And again, at the boot camps, my colleagues will be going into this in a little bit more detail and giving you some sample questions. But the key areas that you need to research are yourself. So you have to know your own CV, and be prepared to answer any questions on your CV in detail. So you need to be able to talk about your degree, the subjects that you really enjoyed, what you found challenging, why you picked that course, be able to talk at length about your skills, your achievements, and your work experience, providing examples to back up those skills. The other key area is the role that you're applying for, so the job description. You need to be able to articulate, why you want to apply for this job, why you'd like to do this role, what attracted you to this job advertisement, and be able to describe in your own words what you think the role involves. And then the third piece of research is the company or organization that you're applying to. It's essential that you can talk at length about the company and that sector, why you want to work with them, and be able to show off the research that you've done. This shows your interest. So it takes quite a bit of time to prep those 3 areas and prepare the associated questions with those. So do, if you again have a little bit of free time now, do start to practice those. Here in the resources, again, don't worry, these will all be available in the resource section on UCD Alumni. There's lots of sample interview questions here that you can use to practice and prepare for your interviews. So very quickly, just 1 or 2 minutes left before we jump into questions. I just want to give you some hints and tips around LinkedIn. So the more and more people are using LinkedIn to apply for roles. So you can use your LinkedIn profile to apply straight away to companies, but it's a great way to network as well and keep in touch with your professional network. So one of the common questions that we get asked in the UCD Careers Network is, if I have a LinkedIn profile, so this is for experienced people and graduates, how do I stay active, or how do I stay engaged on LinkedIn? And it can be very, very simple things like commenting on, so following lots of industry experts and companies that you're interested in, and then liking a comment that they've made, maybe sharing articles in your network and related topics to your profession, and maybe commenting and, as I said, sharing articles. It can just help you be noticed as someone who's very active in your particular network. The other good thing is that there's lots of different groups. So, engineering, social media, social work, lots and lots of different professional networks on LinkedIn that you can tap into. And it's a great way of, I suppose, finding out what's happening in the sector, what are the hot topics right now, and what are the kind of hot skills that you could upskill in. It's a really useful tool as well for researching different careers, because lots and lots of people have their profiles public, and you can have a look at kind of skills and their different career paths to date as well. So I would recommend that if you are I suppose, active and using LinkedIn, be sure to continue to connect with people, in your degree, in your program, through any experiences that you've had. It's a great way to keep all your professional networks in one place. If you haven't got a LinkedIn profile yet, it's something that you can easily set up in a few hours. So simply log on to linkedin.com, and similar to lots of different websites, set up an email password, and there's a really, really useful help center section on LinkedIn that can answer all your queries about getting your profile set up. And as I said, my colleagues will be doing a particular section on LinkedIn tomorrow and on the 25th that'll help you get your profile set up. So Camille, I'll just check as regards questions, because I'm just conscious of time. If there's any questions popping in or anything you want. If not, I'll run through my top tips.
We've got a couple of questions coming through now, but why don't you wrap up with your top tips there and then we'll start going through them. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, so I suppose if the key takeaway in relation to applications is really, really ensuring that it's tailored to the role and the sector. So HR managers and recruiters are very, very experienced at reading CVs, and they'll be able to see at a glance if it's tailored to the particular role that they had advertised. So just spend some time ensuring that you understand the role that you're applying for, what are the skills they're looking for, and do your best to map those in your CV. Okay, it doesn't have to be 100%, so you don't have to have every skill, but as much as you can. The key to interviews, to eliminating nerves, to becoming fluent, and all that kind of thing is practice. So be sure to use Sonru, practice in the mirror, practice recording yourself on the phone. There's lots and lots of sample questions available online. If you're doing virtual interviews, you can have your CV, to hand, but in the background, on the side of your laptop, on a wall behind you, you can have just one or two post-its with your kind of key points. What are the key skills that you want your key message that you want the employer to understand or to get across? Don't be afraid or don't forget to thank your interviewer at the end. Thank them for their time, thank them for the opportunity to interview. Don't panic if something goes wrong with technology. Half the population is working from home right now. We're all aware of things going wrong. So if you've done everything to ensure you've got your power, that you've checked your updates, and something unforeseen happens, don't panic at all. You can use your phone to email the person you're interviewing to let them know that you'll be back online shortly, or that if you need to reschedule. On LinkedIn, do connect with lots of people, but share, comment on articles. If you like to write a blog, that's fantastic. If you've had a really good maybe internship, or there's a particular topic that's of interest to you, that's great. Follow companies that you're interested in applying to or moving to in the future, and they share lots of updates and roles there. Okay, Camille.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. That was really helpful. There's so many really actionable tips and resources there. And as Michelle said, all of these are available in the UCD Alumni Network Resources Hub. So that's all of the slides, the links, and later we'll have recording to the session posted up there as well for anybody who might have missed out, which is good. So
Great.
Yeah, we've got tons of questions coming through, Michelle, and just in the interest of time, let's see how many I suppose we can get through, kind of rapid fire, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm seeing a lot of questions I think are really interesting about returning to work after a career break. Would you have tips for anybody, say, who took time off to look after children, to go traveling? Two parts of that really. It's how would you explain that gap in your CV, and what would you do, say, about any skills you might have had that might be out of date, the more technical skills?
Yeah, so well, the first thing with applications, so on your CV, I suppose the main thing is if you don't, account for it, it means that the recruiter looking at it, or the HR manager, has to kind of draw their own conclusion or assumptions, and kind of wonder, well, I wonder what that person was doing. Whereas it's far better to be simply upfront that you spent 2013 to 2016 traveling, set up your own business, caring responsibilities, whatever they were. And that's perfectly fine. People, I think, certainly working in careers, we see people at lots of different stages, and people have had lots and lots of different experiences. People go traveling, they take time mid-career to do other courses, to take time to change careers, have caring responsibilities. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with putting that on. My recommendation is always to be upfront, include it, and then the recruiter understands that you're either returning to work or back from traveling or whatever it is. In relation to skills that might be out of date, I suppose we never were in a better time in the sense of the volume of stuff that's online in terms of all the online courses. I mean, I highlighted just a few. There is so many educational providers providing short courses now that you can take, it could be 1 day a week, and opportunities to study at courses and at institutes that we never had before. So again, I would probably look at what's the sector that you want to move into. Have a look at job descriptions. You mightn't be qualified right now, but what are the skills that they're looking for? And are there either volunteer opportunities or online courses that you could do to bridge that gap? And don't forget that you have, if you are experienced, sometimes people think when they're changing careers that the previous experience is discounted. In fact, you've lots and lots of really, really good skills there. The first place to start is probably doing an inventory and really kind of examining what are those skills and how they're still relevant. So I do see some career changers discount a little bit what they've had, where there's actually really, really great stuff there. It's possibly career changers benefit from a little bit of time with a career coach. It's a really, really great investment because they can really help you with that piece. So I hope that helps.
Oh, that's perfect, thanks. We have a couple of particulars on what to include and not include, kind of the do's and don'ts of what to put in your CV. So someone was wondering, would it be to your detriment if you do include a photo, even though it's not required for your CV? And also, say if you're conducting research, perhaps a PhD that does have tangible skills that transfer to your work environment, where does that go? Does that go under your education, under your work experience, a bit of both? What do you think?
Okay, so the first part of that, so that was just about information not to include.
I suppose kind of if you do have a photo with your CV, would
Oh
that
yeah,
actually count against you if it's
no, like nobody is going to, discard your CV, not call for interview because you included a picture. I suppose the key message we get from employers is they don't require it, so they don't look for it and they don't expect to see it. If they come across a CV really well laid out, tailored to the role with good experience, and it has a picture, that's absolutely fine. I suppose we would find that sometimes if people are limiting their CV to 1 or 2 pages, that the picture is maybe taking up space that they don't need. You may find, and again, you have to, once you've decided to designed your CV, and then if you investigate the sector and you're talking to mentors, and maybe there's a particular sales role or a particular sector, maybe a marketing role where they're like, actually, if your picture is there, that's fine, then that's fine as well. So don't panic if it's there and you've sent it in already. You won't be discounted because it's there. I suppose the main point is they don't require it. Then the second part, you were asking me about the research.
that you've done, yeah, with your course.
Yeah. So where to put that in the CV? Was that it?
Yeah, especially if maybe like lab work that you've done would be relevant to an employer.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, I would say if you're a PhD student, you've probably quite a significant amount of lab skills and research skills. So there, you have 2 choices here. You can have it in a specific skills section where you're listing out so lab skills, and you're listing all of those, mirroring maybe what they've mentioned in the job description, or some people would put it in if they have worked in a particular lab and listed that as part of their job duties and responsibilities. I suppose it's hard when not seeing the CV. So maybe if that person wants to book in for a one-to-one, there's absolutely no problem with that. I'd say with PhD, with academic CVs, you have opportunity to have a much longer CV listing your research, your publications, the conferences that you've attended as well. So you do have a bit more scope to be a lot more creative and include a lot more information.
Very nice. Well, thanks so much. I'm really sorry, guys, and just conscious we're running up against the time here, but if we didn't get to your question, please do reach out to UCD Careers Network. You can build a profile either as a current student or as an alum. Loads of ways to get in touch and find out more. For example, I saw a lot of questions about, say, other online opportunities available for careers and recruiters, especially, with current concerns around coronavirus. There's loads that's going on right now on the UCD Careers Network Instagram and on their website, so would encourage you to definitely check those out as well. So before we wrap up, for everybody, I just want to point to a couple of final resources and kind of food for thought. So as mentioned a few times, the main place to go after this would be definitely the UCD Alumni Network Resource Hub, because it not only has the links to these slides and the links mentioned here, it's also a great tool for networking. There's loads of alumni who are ready and willing to network with you and reach out to you to help out. As Michelle mentioned, there's the Careers Bootcamp starting tomorrow as well. And if you're interested in finding out more specifically about the business sector and how you might upskill or prepare for that, our next webinar with UCD What It Takes is on the 24th of June, and it will be specifically what it takes to upskill with a business master's. So that might be interest to a lot of you guys as well. All the links to things I'm mentioning are popping up in the chat here. And let me see, is there anything else? We also would just love to find out what you thought of this session. So after this is done, you'll see a link to the survey pop up here. Would love to get your thoughts, and really enjoyed reading the thoughts that you guys have sent in through the chat as well. So thank you guys so much. Looking forward to hearing from you, and hope to see you in 2 weeks.